Hi, everybody. Jack O'Malley. And I'll tell you what, I am recording this early because I have to take my computer in. It locked up on me and crapped out. And it's my personal computer, so I've got an appointment to do that, which is going to be fun. And then I am scheduled to attend Vice President Pence's visit to the North region here in Traverse City today. So I'll be in the cattle pen there with the others. But, you know, over the years when I was in the media, you know, we'd have all sorts of presidential candidates come through the North. And it's interesting whenever they come because, I mean, that's kind of a big deal. You know, regardless of what party, because their faithful get to see them. It also brings attention to the North, and I think that's a good thing. And the other thing that it says about Vice President Pence or potentially, you know, a Democratic Biden or Harris coming here sometime, I don't know. It shows that Northern Michigan is important, and I think that is a good thing to see. So, you know, even though I may disagree with the candidate, depending on whatever it is, I welcome them to the North. So today it's Vice President Pence, and I'll be there, you know, to see him pull in, hear his speech, and move on. So anyway, I'm doing this early because I got to get to the computer, and then I got to get there and all that stuff. So I did mention that today was probably going to be a kind of a catch-all because there's some other things I've wanted to chat about that, you know, are kind of lesser topics, but I think you need to know about. And one of the things that I also think is important is that there is more in this state than COVID, even though that's the top topic right now. So a couple of things here for you today. But I do want to follow up. Yesterday I did several radio interviews with regard to our hearing with small business that was on Wednesday. Watch Wednesday's update. It'll bring you up to date. But I'm so glad that media has caught on to this situation because, again, I talk about balance. And, you know, I know there needs to be that COVID health discussion and response, but we also have our economic health, and that includes, again, just for those who might be watching for the first time, our economic health, our mental health, our emotional health, physical abuse, you know, mental abuse, et cetera, because it's all part of who we are. And Michigan is much deeper and broader. And so we need to have a balanced approach to the COVID. And I don't believe our state has had it, especially when it comes to small business. And so it's just been interesting. And I think that I was happy that these radio hosts wanted to talk to me about it. And, you know, yeah, I'm just trying to think of which topics I want to hit here. And I'll give you another example of how small business has been hurt. And it's going to tie into one of the other topics I have here. In our response through this whole COVID thing, our bigger chain stores have been able to be opened, while maybe our smaller stores haven't been able to be open. You know, you could buy a shirt from big guy, but you couldn't buy a shirt from little guy. And another area that I think is interesting, and make sure I have my stats here, my stories together, to give you an example of that, bottle returns. In the state of Michigan, I don't know about you, but out in my garage, I got a mound of pop cans. And, you know, I've been trying to take a few back each week, but everything's diminished, so I don't want to stand there forever. So I take a little back at a time. Point is, because of our COVID response and our executive orders, you can only go to places with the one-way bottle return, which is our bigger stores. Our littler stores that don't have that type of machinery, but who could take bottles and cans back, can't do it. So what that executive order says is when you go shopping and you want to take your returns, you might as well go shopping to the big store, not the little guy, because the little guy can't handle it, shouldn't do it. That's wrong, right? We are playing favorites. And I use that as just an example. Our small stores could do it. We just got to let them. So I wanted to bring up the bottle because this is an interesting thing. There's been discussion about Michigan's bottle law. And I'm not advocating one or the other here. I'm just telling you what I've heard and what I've seen. Michigan is very proud of its bottle return and law. And there was a move about 2 years ago now, to repeal that. And it got shouted down. And just to give you another angle on that dangle, I was told, think about it. Recycling in Michigan isn't real strong. Why is that? Well, that's because Michigan has this very extensive bottle return, and the real money in recycling is in the aluminum. It's not in the paper, it's not in the glass, it's not in the cardboard, it's not in the plastic, it's in aluminum. And so, in some ways, one of the reasons, argument could be made, that our recycling in Michigan is not as robust as in other states is because of our recycling bill and our recycling law. Again, not arguing for or against, just telling you. So there has been some discussion of changing some of how we do things, and there's been a lot of gripe about that. Because right now, the chunk of money that's left over goes to environmental cleanup and that sort of thing. Well, the distributors are saying, hey, we want a percentage of that money to help us maintain the recycling system. And what I've learned is, in the past, when this recycling bill was all brought up, our distributors did get a little bit of money to help offset those costs. Well, somewhere along the line, I don't know where, that money went away and the distributors didn't get anything. Well, now they're saying give us a little bit more. Now, the other side is saying, well, no, don't do that, because now our environmental cleanup and where it goes won't get as much money. The industry is saying, no, that's not true. We have so many more bottle returns than and can returns that there's more money in that pot. We just want a little bit to maintain our facilities, take care and clean up after we've gotten all these sticky, icky bottles and cans back in, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a debate that's out there, and there's discussion. And when people push any changes in how we do the bottle return, it's immediately, you can't do it because it's so eco-friendly. Well, the thought might be, it might be more eco-friendly, and I'm not persuading either way here. It might be more eco-friendly to do away with the bottle return law, because then it will build up our recycle capabilities. So it's an interesting discussion that I know is going to be had here in the months and years to come. So I'm not here saying go this way or that way. I'm just saying realize there are always angles on every discussion. And when it comes to the bottle return, I find this fascinating. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. This is from a few days ago. You may have seen it, but I find it interesting with regard to the mail-in ballots. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about our mail-in ballots, and I don't know if our Secretary of State should be mailing out applications like she is. I think that's more of a local clerk thing. But you do have to remember that vote by mail is now legal and encouraged here in the state of Michigan because of the law that was passed by the people 2 years ago. So whether you like it or not, it's here. We've got to figure out how to do this. Are we pushing it too fast? That's one of the arguments, and that sort of thing. Well, one of the questions is how many ballots didn't get voted? Well, in the primary, here are some numbers. A total of 6,405 ballots statewide were not counted in earlier month's primary because they showed up late. This, according to the Secretary of State. This number equals about 3% of the 2.179 million ballots that were cast for the U.S. Senate, using that number. Local clerks did not report to the state how many of the late ballots were postmarked, but they did take a survey, and they figured it about 10% roughly of the 1.6 million ballots cast made it to the clerk's hand by Election Day. The numbers also showed that about 1,100 ballots were rejected because the voter moved. 846 ballots came from dead people, and 787 were from absentee ballots, which the signature didn't match the ballot. Overall, 10,694 ballots that made it on time were rejected, 0.6% of the number of ballots cast. So as this moves forward, again, something to think about. But when it comes to mailing in your ballot, whether you agree with it or not, I think this is an important thing for everybody to realize. And there's discussion about the post office. Here's the way I look at it. I have one duty as an American citizen, and that's to vote. Now, I can go to the poll and vote, which means I got to get up out of bed, put on some decent clothes, and go vote. Or I can use an absentee or now mail-in type ballot. And if I choose that, here's what you, me, if we choose to use the mail, don't let it sit. Don't let, the flyers and everything else pile up on it. Get it. Read it, study it, do your research, fill it out, and mail it back. Okay? If you want to have a mail-in ballot, that is your legal right in the state of Michigan. But you have to make sure it gets back there in time. So even the Secretary of State is saying, mail early. If it's Tuesday, Election Day, and you're mailing it on Thursday, it might not get there. Can you get her done so you give yourself a week or two for it to get there just to be on the safe side? But let's say you do get caught up, tired, and it's Thursday before Election Day. Take it to your county or local clerk and give them the ballot. They will accept it. That's doable. And many clerks, if not all, have drop boxes. You can put it in there. So when you get this mail-in ballot, and we can argue all the pros and cons, I'm not going to do that here. If you choose to send in a mail ballot, the mail-in ballot, it's up to you to get it there on time, right? Just like anything. It's like if, you're mailing your mortgage payment in or whatever. If it gets there past the due date, it's late. So think of that as we move forward here. Yes, get it, fill it out, and get it back in, even if you have to hand deliver it, okay? That's on you to help make sure your ballot gets there. And I think that's a reasonable request. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here today. Again, I'm recording this early, so if something breaks during the afternoon, I apologize. But my computer appointment to get it fixed calls and other duties. But some interesting numbers. And one other thing, on the emergency powers lawsuit, the scheduled court date was next Wednesday, the 2nd. It has been pushed back to the 9th. Bummer. But Justice Bernstein, who is blind, has a, quote, indispensable team member who is recovering from COVID. And this person helps him process all the documents and things. So they're going to push it back a week to give him time to recover and Justice Bernstein an opportunity to review those things with his full staff. So we wish them a speedy recovery and good luck getting all that stuff taken care of. All right, COVID numbers I think are interesting. 36 counties in July reported 0 deaths in July. 20 counties reported 1 death. Southeast Michigan had the most in the month of July with 48. The 7-day average positive test rate of 677 through August has leveled off since July. Death rates have leveled off. Illness rates have leveled off. Are we still in an emergency state? I don't think we are. We're now managing the situation. And on that note, I am praying that the Supreme Court rules in our favor on the 1945 law. But I just read today that the Unlock Michigan folks are at 300,000 signatures on that petition. They need 340,000 to make it legal. I believe they're shooting for 500,000 to make sure that they have it good. So if you have that opportunity, sign the Unlock petition. All right, I'm out of here. Have a great weekend. If news breaks, I'll let you know. But otherwise, I'll talk to you again on Monday. Take care.